They say what isn't healed will be handed down to the next generation until somebody is brave enough to break the cycle. My next guest has got to be one of the most profound and sought after LightForce healers who has single-handedly transformed countless lives with her ability to combine holistic wellness and spiritual healing. Shayoon is here with me today to talk about and unpack generational trauma and what that means to us as individuals and how we could potentially break the cycle. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Thank you. That was honestly the most beautiful intro. Thank you for having me.
You are the most beautiful soul, honestly.
Maybe.
I'm so grateful that you're here, and I know how busy you are, and the fact that you are flying in and out is crazy.
Yeah, and It Takes a Village was my priority for so long.
You don't understand how much
I'm here. Let's do it.
it means so much to me. Honestly, again, we're just talking about the fact that it is small and it is growing, but generosity like yours doesn't come very often, and it's that I will always remember forever, and it is one of those things that can potentially be life-changing. So I'm so grateful.
I always say, like, what are we here for if we're not here to help one another? Like, what are we here for?
It's true. It's true, and I really appreciate it.
I love you.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Thank you. It's such a beautiful studio. Such a vibe.
I can't take full credit, but it's so vibe. They do look after me a little bit. Thank you. Thanks, AJ. Obviously you've had such an incredible life, and I every time obviously anyone sits here, I sit there and like do full stalker mode between the articles and your social media and this and the other and what's but literally a deep dive on your life. And every time I read, I'm like, oh my God, no way, she did that. Oh my God, like who am I actually going to sit across the table from? So obviously, just to start from the beginning, in its absolute essence, who is Shayoon? How could you describe yourself?
Oh, wow. That is such a loaded question. And I'm so grateful to be able to actually say that I have lived so much that I truly now know who I am and what I'm here for. And Shayoon is a mother, first and foremost. And I am not only a healer, but I'm here to teach people and show people who they truly are underneath all of their trauma and remember who they are so they can get on with their purpose as to why we're actually here on earth. Like, what are we really doing here? And most people haven't been able to uncover that because they're stuck under so much trauma and sadness and their own stuff. But when you remove that and you learn how, and you can be, taught by somebody relatable, I've changed my life and turned my life around to make that my mission to go around and do these. And no matter if I'm at a retreat or if I'm at a podcast or if I'm making music or whatever, it all has the same purpose, and it's just to help other people.
That honestly, I mean, what could potentially be better? I mean, it's one of those things.
I'm really lucky. Honestly, I wake up every day and I have the ability to help change someone's lives, work with children. I have a family that is so beautiful, and I'm really able to, choose where I want to live and be in an environment that I want to be in. And I get to pick and choose that based on helping people. So I have to do my part,
Yeah.
I have to make these podcasts. I have to go and speak to people so that they know that there is a light out there.
Yeah.
If you can even inspire one person, that's so big.
Yeah.
In this time. And
that is so true.
Yeah.
It's that one person.
It's one person. And that one person will go to the next person and heal their family. And that next person will be an inspiration, So we just got to spread it.
Spread the love.
Spread the love.
Spread the love all the way.
Yeah.
You look at somebody and you always think to yourself, have they always been this way? Have you always had this type of spirit even growing up?
Absolutely.
And as a child?
Spirit, yes.
Yeah.
I've always known that I was going to do something really great. And when I say that, I mean in terms of shifting consciousness and creating a new earth paradigm. I always knew that there was going to be something bigger for me. Yeah. But I was definitely a part of the system, and I was never into spirituality, holistic healing, wellness, none of that. I was the complete opposite, to be honest. And when you see, you can't unsee. Yeah. And so I became obsessed with wanting to show and keep awake, because we're designed to be sick. We're taught to fear. We're taught to hurt. We're taught to abuse. But the foundation of who we are and where we come from is love. And everyone forgets that, you know?
That's so true.
Yeah. So when you're born, you're a sinner. You have to fear God. You have to be a part of this religion. You have to, do this tradition. You have to sit still in a system school and not move and not be in nature. We are literally taught the opposite of the fundamentals of what we need, of being human. And I'm here to say no, that's wrong, and it's actually the complete opposite. You have to take care of yourself first before you take care of anyone else.
My God, I feel like I could go into 50,000 different avenues of what you
I
said,
know.
but
Let's
it's
do
so
it.
true.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you sit and you think about, like you said, you conform to almost human-made institutions against a human being, which then you are in this cycle for the rest of your life.
Against your own gut, because you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
but you have no other choice because they've made it a rat race, right? So you have to. Once you get on that hamster wheel, it is really hard to get off, right? We're not here for like a 9 to 5 eat, sleep, entertain cycle, you know? And that's the thing. Everyone's stuck in it. Big pharmas, pregnancies, they're taking birthing away from women. There's so much that we need to be brought back into earth and ground. And the only way to do that is to go back to yourself. Who are you really? You know?
So having said that, what would be your craft or your position in this to help people? I mean, what would you say is Shayoon's craft?
So I really have gone through it all to be able to say that I've trained in everything and done everything so that I could experience what actually worked for me and what I know has the fastest results, because I really believe that healing is not a lifelong journey and it has an end date and you choose that date. And
Yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and if you want to, you can say I'm healing for the rest of your life and be miserable and suffering every day and have anxiety and fear and all of that, or you can actually live a life of freedom.
And come out and say, I've actually been healed.
Yes, and the point is the reason we say, we have a 4-week program, because it takes 4 weeks usually to clear everything that's ever happened to you in your life. Imagine bullies on the playground, ex-boyfriends, mother, father. We start at the root, who messed you up the most, Um, and when you can learn how to systematically clear every one of those housing sentences in your map, you realize it's like a house of cards. You pull the root from the bottom in it, everything else falls. Like, it could be that one, bully on the playground that actually has been still affecting your anxiety to this day, but you have never cleared it. And it's triggers in other people or somebody that says something here or there, and you're upset with them, but actually it stems so far back.
Yeah, you wouldn't, and you probably would just block that out.
Yeah,
And you say,
totally.
why am I reacting this way to this person?
So majority of the people today are living in a pain body. And so if I asked you or anybody else, like, what do you suffer from on the daily? Every single person that I speak to mostly, I have anxiety, I have fear, I have depression, I'm sad, I'm tired, I'm overworked, I'm lonely, I feel abandoned, I feel unsafe, I feel abused. And then most of those people have physical symptoms such as, it could be anything from diseases to cancers to anger to whatever. And the thing is that if you don't take care of your emotions, it will turn into something physical. And that is dis-ease. And it's just the foundation. It's how it works. It's science, And so when you clear everything that's happened to you emotionally, your body will recorrect itself.
Do you know, honestly, you said that pain body.
Yeah.
That idea, people will probably just associate it with physical pain.
Yeah.
And disregard all the emotional stuff. So it's actually it's really interesting the way you use the word, because you've kind of just worked from inside out. And that is something that people have to consider, because you could potentially have, for example, some sort of chronic inflammation or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But is that, what it is? A lot of the times, you hear a lot of the
It's not why do I have it?
Yeah.
So it's what is the who and what was the root cause of my inflammation? Look, I've been there. I was in a terrible car accident. They told me I couldn't walk again. I wasn't going to be able to have children. I was subscribed and prescribed to everything.
Oh my gosh.
And when I learned how to heal and correct my pain body and forgive myself for being so mad at myself for losing out on life, basically. Couldn't dance, couldn't do, anything I wanted to do as a 20-year-old. I was storing so much anger and resentment, just even toward myself. And so the first technique I ever learned was called EFT, emotional freedom technique. And when I freed myself from myself, then I was, and it worked, and I could touch my toes after 6 years. I was like, oh, what? There's a whole other world out here that your mind, it's just about your mind. You have to be able to train your mind back into who you really are and into your heart and into your heart, out of your mind. Because you're constantly, I am sick, I am this, I am depressed, I have this, I have. So that's what your pain body is, and that's how your body reacts. She is sick. So I'm going to make sure that she wants to feel sick because she's constantly saying,
That's right.
and she's doing nothing other else.
I'm anxious. I'm
Yeah.
nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually so funny because then it goes into this crazy cycle of, like you said, you loop back into the institution.
Yeah.
You go back into big pharma.
Yeah.
They're going to treat you for something that you could potentially have just gone and done a potential 4-week course and learned these techniques.
Yeah.
I've always, look, I think it's just one of those things. Is it something that you need somebody to hold your hand through a process, or are you able to do it on your own?
It honestly depends where you're at mentally, because like we have a 4-week program that anybody can hop into our online community and self-heal if they're like, but you have to be very dedicated. And then there's people who do need help, and I needed help. There's nothing wrong with that. But the key is you can't go back to the environment that made you sick to begin with, right? So you have to take charge, which is why we always say the prerequisite to the full embodiment of your purpose is healing first and then going on to serve your purpose. Otherwise, you're serving from a wounded state, and people are going to get wounded results. And just that's why you have all these wounded coaches and teachers and people who have no idea what they're doing, but they're just doing it because they know that they want to do it, and it's maybe their mission or their purpose, but they haven't done any of the work so it's not really going to work. It's super dangerous, and it's really sad. That's what's happening in this spiritual world with the bypassers, and it's sad. And so that's why our thing is like, dude, no guru mentality. I'm not your healer. You have the power to heal yourself completely. I'll just show you how, but you have the power, and you're doing all the work. I'm not doing it for you. I actually give you a lot of work to do. And then you have to come back and you have to come back trained up. You have to say, I went there and I was able to clear this. And I went from a 10 being the worst, and I'm down at a 0 because I have to show you how to take the training wheels off, but I'm not going to be on the bike with you,
Yeah.
And it has the ability to completely change your life. I mean, it changed mine, right? And now I can fully be in my power because I know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and why I'm here. You have to have a vision, you have to have a mission, and you have to have the purpose. But that only comes from a fully healed state.
It's interesting. No, it's, to be honest, it's because I've always been I'm very interested, but it's kind of, like what we were saying before we sort of went on record, I guess.
Yeah.
But where would you start? I mean, I read that, for example, you had chronic anxiety and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Did you start from
Panic attacks, all of it.
I mean, was that almost like the catalyst to finding a solution to that?
Well, the catalyst was the car accident. And then because nobody knew, like, all they give you is a Xanax or a pill to, like, nobody's like, yo, how's your heart? Like, how can we help you get out of this without making you an addict and putting you into, basically debt so you can pay medical bills for the rest of your life, And that really, like, was a big thing for me. I was looking at the therapist who was doing my daily, because I had to walk and do a lot of body movement things to get back into shape. And she was like, you're never going to have children. And I'm like, are you God? Like, how do you do that to a 20-year-old? It's crazy.
Really difficult.
And so they put these programs in your head to make you believe that you're not good enough and that you're not going to make it. And I was just not down with that. And I was like, there's absolutely no way, that these people are going to be in charge of delivering all these messages to the youth. And I have a really soft spot with working for kids and stuff, because it starts in the youth. It starts with the youth. Ages 0 to 6 is the most pivotal. My kids can sit longer than any adult in meditation. If you teach them first how to be emotionally aware, before putting them in a box, and where the box is taking away all of their beautiful childhood. Basically, there's very few schools that are doing it right. You get what the majority of the world is today, and then you have to unlearn it and undo it for 10 years. And that's why I'm like, healing's not a lifelong journey. Like, just do this, remove it, and move on.
But I love that is also less intimidating.
Yeah.
And it's, when you have, when people can see
Yeah.
the progression.
Yeah.
And so that there is an endpoint.
Yeah.
So
100%.
do it. I mean, it should potentially be a prerequisite for every human being.
Thank you. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've been saying. And the thing is, like, look, the difference between us and everyone else is something called emotional mapping, where you map systematically everything and everyone in your life, which is very daunting because it's like shoveling.
What do you mean by mapping?
So you have an Excel sheet.
Okay.
We list all your emotional symptoms, all your physical symptoms, every character, mother, father, dad. We rank everything as it is to you now. So if I was like, Rhea, how do you feel about, say you said the time on the playground when this girl bullied me, I was 5 years old, maybe you felt sad. Under sad, though, you probably have 6 other emotions: unwanted, lonely, betrayed. And then I ask you on a scale of 0 to 10, you ask your subconscious, where's the trigger at? And you're like, sadness is, if you think back to it and you're still sad, and you're at a 5 or a 6, that's chronic, and you've still been holding on to it. So if you think back to memories and they still hold a charge within you, that's your pain body. It's living inside of you constantly like a program. And if you don't clear it, it's always going to be there or get worse. And you said, where do you start? Start with the intention and the yes. Yes, I want to move forward in my life. And yes, I want to make a difference. And yes, I want to clear my emotional and physical symptoms. Your body will instantly respond to that. Then you do what we have called our morning ritual, the LightForce morning ritual. Non-negotiable, 50 minutes before bed, no screens at all. And then when you wake up in the morning, no screens at all. You have to check in with yourself before you check in with the rest of the world, or you're not going to sleep, and all these programs are going to be running through your head all night. When we're in this like, terrible place in social media and the web that literally takes over our life, it's going to be running in your head. So you have to wake up in the morning and make a beautiful cup of water with lemon and salt and sit. And that's where most people can't get with it, because if you give up after 3 days, it's not going to work. And everyone's like, I don't have 20 to 40 minutes in the morning. And I'm like, well, you need to sit longer. If you don't have 20 or 30 minutes for yourself, but you're giving an entire 12 to 14 days to everyone else, there's something really wrong.
It's true.
I miss one meditation in the morning and I'm just like
thrown off.
So if you can sit with yourself and you can actually activate instead of meditate, you can't really meditate your way into, healing. Like, of course, meditation, it's a tool, but you have to activate yourself. You have to continuously show up for yourself, and then you clear yourself. And then, for all the high level entrepreneurs and doctors and everybody in a fast-paced job, it's said that if you sit down and you do a morning ritual and you follow this, it can increase your productivity by 40% daily.
Unbelievable.
So if you go out like that, just a full
stopping?
Yeah. And so, it's hard, for all the moms and dads to sit in the morning when you have kids, but teach your kids to sit with you.
Either that, or, the idea that you just says 50 minutes before bed, switch off the screen.
Yeah.
You're probably getting a better night's sleep to get up a little bit earlier.
100%. And nothing's running in your head because you haven't gone to sleep scrolling or checking an email. And in the morning, if you grab your device before you've even checked in with yourself, it could be that one email or that one person that just really throw off your entire day.
I know exactly what you mean. It's just kind of like, I was triggered by something last night.
Yeah.
Kind of before I went to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I put it away and I'm like, oh, it's nothing that I'm.
Yeah.
But it was such a critical time.
Yeah.
Where I should be winding down. I shouldn't be sitting in. And I think that's why I didn't have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it kind of swirled around. It just brought this, you could feel the heaviness sort of come on. And it's not, you can't control when they come, but you can
Yeah.
control if you've picked up your phone.
And it's the most crucial time for your body to heal is during sleep.
Yeah.
So you take that away too, and then it's just over. You know, when you
It
don't get
is,
sleep
yeah.
and you're not centered, it's just not, you're not in your full power, you know?
The word healer
Mm.
or healing,
Mm-hmm.
it's a massive word.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I believe that the word healer comes with a very honorable title, and it's not used lightly, and I don't take it very lightly. I've spent a lot of my time, 12 years, studying in the jungle with different tribes and really understanding what medicine is. It's not alternative medicine, it's the original. Everything else is
I love that. It
alternative,
was got goosebumps.
you know?
Yeah.
And you have to understand where it comes from. And you have to really go into the tribes and into the jungle and sit with the indigenous and understand that these are our wisdom keepers. You know, these are the people that are keeping our earth alive. And so by learning, you know, all of that and being given the honor by the elders and by the people, then I'm able to say, yeah, I'm a healer. Before that, I didn't feel like I had the privilege to just go around and say that. And that's the difference with me. I believe that healing is a choice. I believe that it is um, and can be really hard. But I do believe that full healing means fully clearing yourself and undoing everything so that you could be here for what you're truly here for.
It's a huge responsibility.
Huge. Yeah. And most people, unfortunately, don't see the power in what they're here for. They don't believe it. But you have to believe it to receive it, you know?
Is that typically a common sort of like, the skeptics that you hear? It's just the disbelief of it?
Yeah. It's the disbelief of it. Definitely.
Why do you think that happens? Is it just because they've been wired a certain
Yeah,
way?
they're part of the system. Yeah, they're part of the matrix, you know? And there's also so many, it's religion, it's society, and another thing is, you know, people they fear everything. You know, growing up in our culture or whatever actually culture and religion, you know, we're taught that to fear going to hell. Like that is, if you do this, you're gonna go to hell. And I think that spirituality is, you know, I think religion is for people who fear going to hell, and spirituality is for people who've already been there, you know?
It's mic drop moment right here.
And yeah, I do feel like you have to live your life like that. Like, I've been there, done that, and I get it. But there is so much more to accomplish in such little time that we have left, especially with how everything's going with wars and, you know, they're poisoning our food, everything. It's just a mess, you know?
It's a mess. And one would say that it is a steady decline to the end.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're almost at the end if we don't do something drastic.
I think you touched on a really important point, a point where people might want to push back because you mentioned religion
Mm-hmm.
and spirituality. I think there's something that needs to be said, that no one is trying to sort of create something new. It's almost it's almost what you, as again, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
what you are doing is potentially making somebody aware of their own self and their bodies and what they've gone through, and be very mindful about their next steps,
Mhm.
as opposed to changing their belief system.
Exactly. And I can say this with the most grandest honor that becoming spiritual made me closer to God and a better Muslim.
I was just about
And I bring
to-
people back to God.
Yeah,
Because God to me is so much more than what a book or anybody can tell you. It's the experience, and it's the experience of the trust and the faith when you're going through hell, you know? And I've never appreciated and I had more honor and respect for Islam than I do after I've gone through this whole transformation of healing.
it's so beautiful to hear that,
Mhm.
because I think that's a lot of the times where it stems from.
Yeah.
There is this
Fear.
fear,
Yeah.
and I think, at the end of the day, like you said, you get all of a sudden this extreme appreciation to your own belief system, and you think to yourself, at the end of the day, we all, I mean, I'm a Muslim,
Yeah.
and it was kind of I mean, we know about it from birth.
Yeah.
But it's quite, and I find as we age,
Yeah.
certain aspects of a religion or
Yeah.
a belief or spirituality mature.
Yeah.
And you start to
Absolutely.
sort of put pieces together.
Yeah.
And I find I'm not a person that will speak on religion.
Yeah.
I
Me
find it
neither.
very personal.
Me neither.
But I find you do what works for you
Mm-hmm. Always.
and what serves you
Always.
by removing the fear.
Yeah.
You know, I
You
don't know
can't
why, it just makes
operate.
me really emotional.
Yeah, because you can't. That's what happens. People operate from obligation.
Yeah.
And this whole process is everything except making you choose between religion and anything else. If anything else, we make you connect into it so that you can remove what it is that's holding you back. It's not about what religion you are, or what race you are, or where you come from, or whatever. I have people from all over the world, 80 years old on Zooms, 12-year-olds on Zooms. One's, a death, one's been by their father, one's been whatever. It has nothing to do with anything else except for what happened to you and how are you going to get out of it and who's going to help you. And when you can connect to your heart in the midst of pain and understand that forgiveness comes from releasing the power of the other person over you, and that it's because you deserve it, not because they do. And you can connect to God and help. We call in and we're like, please, God, let them clear this. And in those moments, it gets cleared. And it's just about the belief in a higher power and energy. And if you want to call it God, call it God. If you want to call it
It's
the
individual
universe,
to what you believe
yeah,
in.
it's all the same, right? And if anything, yeah, like I said, it made me closer.
I think that that's such an important thing to say because it really is, you know,
Yeah.
this idea, you know, you use words like a higher power and calling in the energy. And I think people misunderstand that
Yeah.
as something else that's been made up. It's not
Yeah.
about that. It's about, like you said,
Yeah.
looking inwards and putting your faith or your trust in the forgiveness, I guess.
Yeah.
And just for me, I think it's the removal of fear.
Let it go. It's not yours, It happened to you, but it doesn't belong to you if you choose that. And so you just gotta let that go,
Oh, yeah.
so you can get on with it.
Fear.
Yes.
What's up with that?
It is just, look, so many people have had so much happen to them. And conditioning, schooling, really traumatic instances, hard lives, even people with the best lives. And we are taught to give our power away to other things. And so we fear so much about the end result of something that hasn't even been in our existence yet, instead of calling it in and affirming it. And the fear of whatever it is comes truly from unhealed trauma, you know? And it also comes from a lack of love, because if you take somebody who is, like, for instance, my children, because that's the only people I can um, say out loud. If you take my children, for instance, they live a very clean, holistic lifestyle. They're not in fear of what's my teacher going to say, what's this kid on the playground going to say, if I'm going to get bullied or any of that, because their environment is set up so that they don't have to deal with that. And of course, one day something will happen. But the key difference is the tools that you learn to remove all of that and to make your environment, even if it's right now at this age, so clean and clear for you. Whoever is in your tribe and in your circle deserves a space there. There's nothing that you can do more importantly than making your environment so solid, because fear can't exist in love. It doesn't work. If you have so much love, it turns into other things, Of course you're apprehensive about something, but when your love is connected to your gut and you are in full power and you trust your gut and you trust your subconscious to make decisions for you, you don't have fear. 'Cause you're not missing out on anything.
That's true.
Except for making your own valid and beautiful decisions. Yeah.
That must be difficult, though, for somebody to be able to do that. I mean, I think if you look at a child,
Yeah.
generally they're quite fearless.
Yeah.
As we get older, fear really does set in. Of course,
Yeah.
given that obviously they may experience something fearful or like you said, it's something's been taken away from them and not it was completely out of love.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite difficult, like you said, when you've got somebody that has had certain experiences to potentially, you know, it might. How would you go about trying to remove that feeling?
So light force healing.
Yes.
So basically you have to be able to uncover and do the dirty work. This is like this the dirty dishes, we say, is the analogy. Everything on your plate is all the crap that you've gone through. The healing is the soap. And you have to just get it out of your system. And it's really super quick and easy. It takes 2 hours once a week for 4 weeks. And you have to systematically remove everything. I'm talking about like everything. And that's the daunting part that most people don't want to do. But when you do the work,
You know, facing your fears is never going to be an easy process.
but if that stuff is still bothering you and still sitting in your system, all you're going to operate from is that. You know, and I love it because it's such an easy tool. You connect to your heart, you think about something or someone you love, and then you do what we teach you to move it out. And it dramatically goes down from a 10 to 0 like clockwork every time. So you'll have the cut and you'll have the wound, but it doesn't hurt anymore, right? But most people right now are cut and bleeding everywhere and not tending to your wounds. And the same thing goes with your emotions. You're so hurt still,
Yeah.
you know?
I have to ask, what is LightForce healing?
So the light, I love it. So the LightForce Center is,
No, the center.
the center is the name of the entire company, LightForce Healing. So I've been dreaming since 14 years now of a golden pyramid somewhere in the earth. And I've literally traveled the whole world looking for where it's going to be. And now it's in Kenya. But LightForce Healing is an amalgamation of 11 years of everything that I've learned from the elders, from Reiki to prana to, you know, surface level stuff to really deep medicine work to, you know, studying nutrition at Harvard to doing everything that I could to take what I know works and give it to people. And Alexander and I, my husband, came up with LightForce Healing, and we have, you know, been so blessed to have helped thousands of people. Now we have an online community, so you can come in and resonate, you know, with other people from everywhere in the world. And we're doing these healings on Zoom. It doesn't have to be in person. It literally show up, clear yourself, you're good. And we don't want to see you after 4 weeks, you know? It's not like a therapist where you're there for years and you're still talking.
That's the daunting.
Why are we still talking about it?
Yeah.
Like, let it go. You have to know how to let it go. And that's the difference, is most people don't have an actual solution. It's like, let's talk about it. But no, you need to remove it from your system in order for your system to recorrect itself.
And you've got the LightForce Center.
And I've got the LightForce Center.
I mean, are you tired? You must be exhausted.
You know why? Because I'm not working. It's not work for me. It's passion. It's drive. It's purpose. I'm tired because I've taken on a lot, but that's my own decision right now in life, because I have a goal and I got to get there, and we don't have much time, you know? But I'm never tired of preaching what I know works, you know? And it's the most beautiful. I mean, the messages I get on the daily, just waking up, knowing that I have that much, you know, love around me constantly.
And it's just, like I said, it's one of those things, you've changed people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, to walk around with wounds, that's not going to be good for anybody.
No.
Again, as a mother, the last thing I want to do is put my stuff on my children.
Generational.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, they're a complete blank, you know, clean slate.
Yeah.
And that is the last thing anybody, but sometimes you do it subconsciously.
Yeah, of
that
course.
The fear.
Yeah.
Speaking of generational trauma, obviously, you know, you focus on that heavily. For, you know, whoever is listening at the moment and who isn't really aware of what it actually is, what constitutes as generational trauma?
So generational trauma is trauma that is passed down to you or whomever from previous generations that has heavily impacted the emotions and physical state of everyone involved in the family, whether they like it or not. And the problem with this is, we have so much obligation in our cultures to really heavily make other people feel really good.
Yeah. I'm fine.
I'm fine. Everything's fine. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on. Eat this food.
Yeah.
you know? Um, and what happens is, or you have that everything's not fine. And sadly, most people's homes were so brutal for them. And you're witnessing it. So if you have children who are small, witnessing parents who are fighting, or they've witnessed abuse or cheating or anything like that, the trauma gets passed on, right? Therefore, maybe the kid will act like that, or they'll mimic. And so everyone that comes to us now, it's so important that they all realize that whoever says yes and whoever's sitting there on that Zoom call or in front of me has chosen that they do not want to take this anymore. And then some people would be like, I feel so bad for mapping my parents. I love them now. But I'm like, it doesn't matter if you love them now or not. They still did something to you, and it's okay. You have to be able to reveal it, to heal it. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to still love them. You love them more because you won't be holding this in the background. You're always holding something against somebody your guard is always up.
Yeah.
But when you remove that, you can be free from it, and nothing can harm you. There's no bad energy in, only good. No bad energy completely, and only good energy in. And, you can really change the dynamic of your generations by healing your family. And, subconscious is a really big thing. Like, you're working with other people's higher selves when you're doing this work. And if you call in somebody who you want to forgive in those moments, they will energetically feel it, even if they're in, on the palm and you're somewhere else, or they're in a different country. It works like that. It's energy. If I close my eyes and I send love to somebody, and then 2 minutes later they text me, how often does that happen? You have to believe in the power of knowing that when you choose to break free from all of that, that the universe listens, that the higher power listens. And then when you're free from all of that, you become healed. You become a whole different person. So many people don't know what to do on the other side of being healed because they've never been there before, and they're in their 40s now, and or whatever age. So then that's when you dive into your mission, your vision, and your purpose, because you're so clean, and you don't have time, or even, you won't go backwards. And if you do go backwards, you'll get smacked by the universe again. But after that, if you have enough self-respect for yourself and for everyone and everything else, you don't let in any other energy except for the highest vibration.
Sorry for my rant. I love it because it's like you put up almost like a shield. You kind of bounce off with everything that you don't want.
Absolutely.
Going to that point that you can recognize it, and you can just back up.
Absolutely.
From it. And I think that in itself, especially, like you said, we're bombarded with so much.
Yeah.
Whether it's people, whether it's online, whether it's this and that and the other, that it's quite difficult sometimes to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it must be, honestly, do you feel it? It must be
perfect
something.
question. To get to that point, the distance of where you are now and where you want to go is only as great as you think it to be. So same, if you're constantly thinking about how hard and how crazy it's going to be to get there, it will be hard, and it will take a really long time. But if you can switch your mindset, let go of the fear, and say, yo, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do it no matter what.
I'm going to do it no matter what. Your body will listen, and so will time. Time doesn't even exist. But we really don't have much left.
I really need to sign up.
For everybody they say it takes a village. I have a free link for you guys to join the morning ritual, to do the community meditations, but you have to do the whole program.
I will.
100%.
I will 1000%. Yeah. Again, it's just one of those things that if you were to ask me about my childhood,
Yeah.
I'd be like, it was great.
Yeah.
But my family left in the middle of the Gulf War. I'm sure there is a lot. And we moved to Australia
100%.
as technically,
refugees.
Immigrant. Yeah. And it was, I'm sure at the time,
Of course.
Adjustment. I was 5.
Of course. And imagine what they were going through trying to get you there, and having kids now. How much you would hide, and how much you would,
So, surely, this is my other question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there people walking around trauma-free? No, like starting off.
Starting off,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, is it
you know,
not an inherent part of being a
look,
human being?
yeah, with the system that we're in, I think that people unfortunately have first of all, traumas can be micro and they can be really major, right? Something as little something that's really like small and minute could be massive to somebody else. So it really depends,
Yeah.
right? I think that you can become trauma free and move on. And the thing is like I'm human, believe it or not. And
Don't make me. I feel he's this edgy guy. Honestly, I've never felt so emotional. Like my heart's just a bit like, just yeah. I'm definitely feeling. You say here, and I can feel it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there's things that come up and I do not let it sit for more than a few hours without moving my energy and clearing it out. And that's the point is that, of course, so much stuff will come up and you'll have a bad day and you'll have somebody trigger you and but you know what to do. My job right now is to show you that you can clear all the other really traumatic stuff so that you can be clean and then you'll know what to do when stuff like this comes up. You know, it's a constant tool. My 6-year-old will come to me and be like, I have this trauma or this fear, and he'll be like, can we move it out? And he'll sit, connect his heart and move it out. And I'll be like, it's gone. He's like, yeah, healed, done. So it's a lifestyle.
Do you have like children as clients?
Yeah, not young, but yeah.
Because you do work with kids a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So my child was on almost kidnapped in Bali when he was 2, and we were on vacation there from Ibiza. We used to live in Ibiza.
Oh my.
And someone broke into our hotel room and was trying to kidnap him. And long story short, I woke up because I heard God, spirit in my head saying, wake up. I woke up and I found this man who was dressed like a woman trying to take our kid and take him. And so, um, you know, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am today because it opened my eyes completely into the world of what is really going on with our kids and you know, he left his phone. So we saw everything that they wanted to do. We have mixed kids, so it's extra money. Um, and so my child was going to be sold into a sex ring, and it made me go, and I have him today, you know, and I was lucky enough to be connected enough to hear God and wake up, right? A lot of these people don't have their kids anymore. And it's happening in front of us daily. And that's why my kids are homeschooled. And that's why I wanted to do whatever I could to raise awareness about the actual things that we should be working on in the world, which is saving the kids because it's the biggest pandemic. Child sex is a very real thing. 300 million files are shared daily on the abuse of children, which is now getting lower and lower to where their umbilical cord is still attached. And people pay for this to watch. So there's so much I had to do as a purpose with that. And that's the reason it happened, so that I can go and try to educate and help as many kids and parents and people as possible. It starts with education of parents. Like I had no idea how bad it was. I knew about it, but people never did. They didn't want to hear it. You know, it's like, let's not talk about that. But I'm not saying this to offend anybody. It's the majority of the people in your closest circle. So it's your teachers, it's the kids, you know, parents, friends at school, and it's the people you trust the most. And that's why you just have to be super alert with everything that's going on, you know, gaming, all of this crap on the internet, roadblocks. This is where predators come. And all the new generation is doing is sticking their kids on a device instead of, you know, and you know, I get it. Sometimes you need a break,
Yeah.
but there has to be supervision, but educational supervision on this specific topic.
Is
You
that how
know?
you started working
Yeah.
child rescue
Yeah.
Louisville?
Yeah. Yeah. So I made it my mission. I'm like, yo, I have to tell every parent, everybody, I have to go. I have to go in. You know, I was in a safe house in Kenya the other day working with a 4-year-old that just got. So it's like, what you have to that's what keeps me going. You have to really know why you're here, what you're here for, and you can't let it affect your energy, and you can only really do that when you don't have anything else holding you back emotionally. Sorry for the hard.
No,
I thought you knew.
it's just like you said, it's that, the truth that nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah, like when I say I've been to hell, I've been there. I get it. I know it. And you have a choice. You can stay there and burn, or you can rise from the ashes like a phoenix and fly.
I mean, if anyone saw you at that point,
Yeah.
what would they have seen?
This was just a few years ago. I was already deep into healing. And so I had to do, as a mother, I had to clear a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. But I also had to do something about it. I couldn't just be like, this just happened to my kid and
And I'm just gonna let it
not
just
yeah.
something a part of life. But you
No.
turned it into something and
I
an
turned the
actual
pain into
mission.
purpose.
Yeah.
Turn the pain into purpose, and it's an actual mission, and that's another goal of mine at LightForce Center in Kenya, which we're building now, is to have an orphanage and a school and a safe house, and to really give back to community, and to really um, take into consideration, the poor and the people who don't have enough or as much as we do, and really show them a good life, and teach them. I'm going into the schools teaching meditations and just teaching self-worth at such a young age, because the future is our children,
1,000%. 100%. I'm sorry that happened. That must have been just.
Me too. It was wild, but you know what? I'm happy it happened because I still have my child. I didn't lose anything. I gained a lot.
The thing is, you gained a lot, then you also helped a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So it was a win-win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to come back from that. I mean, I think that's somebody's worst nightmare, isn't it?
It's somebody's worst
Just
nightmare.
a mother.
Here, I'll let you come back from it like this. Whatever you choose,
Yeah.
whoever's listening, whatever you choose as your purpose or your main job, you have to make sure that you're giving back in some way. Like, it has to be beneficial for the earth at this time. You can't really be doing anything else that's on a lower vibration. Like, we need more healers. We need more conscious people, more conscious parents. We need to uplift. We need the spiritual warriors out here right now who are willing to go to bat for Pachamama, for the earth, who are going to replant the trees and, help the kids and, make food for the poor or whatever it is. But it has to be a constant thing. It's not like once a year on Christmas, you go to the Christmas drive and you serve food. Like, we don't need that,
This altruism,
Yeah.
a constant thing.
Yeah.
It's
Not just in Ramadan, not
it's
just
a
in,
cycle.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the thing is, we say that now.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, touch wood, children
Yeah.
are well looked after. To a certain extent, some would call them privileged.
Yeah. Absolutely. Very.
How it's to also make them aware
Yeah.
of the cycle of being a human to another human.
Absolutely.
That for me is very important. And of course, you have to be mindful of it because lives get busy and
Yeah.
you do go into this rat race, and I'm definitely victim to
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Totally.
school work.
This is why I come back into the rat race, to remind everybody that there's a relatable person on the other side that's telling you, like, come over here. It's fine.
Yeah,
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I look the part. I play the part for a reason. Like, I want all of my people who are my people, who I know are here for something else, to be like, oh, she, dresses how she wants. She does what she wants. She's not woo-woo or whatever, because my message is only going to get through to some people on that level, right? But the real thing is I come back into the concrete jungles and into the matrix to bring those people out, and remember, like, yo, you need to be doing something way more than what you're doing now, because I know there's so much potential, and everybody, everyone I meet, I have such a, like, vibe story with, like, I will literally sit next to a stranger and be like, how's your heart? And that's one thing could change his whole, thought process for the rest of whatever. It just takes one matchstick.
Isn't
and
it
one match to life.
That human connection?
Yes.
Everyone's craving it.
Yes.
You wanted somebody to look into your eyes and be seen. I can see you. I'm here. You want to talk. Yes.
people don't even say hello to like their
People
cab drivers or elevators. We're like, you're in an elevator with another being.
shoulder to shoulder.
Hi, how are you? And it throws people off sometimes. They're like, wow, you're really nice. I'm
What
like,
kind of program now, right?
yeah, fear. Don't talk to this person. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't, that's why I put my kids in Africa. They go to the slums to see what it's like. This is what it's really like. And yes, it is a privilege, but you also have to grow up with so much honor and dignity and respect for every person. I have a lot of help, thank God, in Kenya, because it takes a village. But the way they speak to any of their teachers, their help is the same way they would speak to their grandfather. And all of my people that work for me and for us, my nannies, my caretakers, they all have to go through the program because I'm never going to let somebody else take care of my children when they're not well. So it's just, and then you help heal these people and they're like, oh my gosh, they come from nothing. They have no idea that like healing's even a thing, right? Like I did. And so then you're doing deep work when you can just influence one person to change their emotional and physical body. And then the rest is it's just contagious. You want to be like, oh my gosh, like
It 100% contagious. I feel like,
my parents.
can I sign up now?
Yeah, definitely. You're in.
I mean,
whatever you want.
no, really, because at the end of the day, it's that cycle. You must feel really good after.
It's insane. It's the most rewarding thing in the world to look back at the map that was like your biggest fear and you look at it and you're like, I did it. I have nothing. Like you can read. I have people who are reading the time when my dad, when I was 4, looking at it going, I don't feel it. And that's when you're like, you can't, what else is that if it's not the highest power of energy to remove the darkest demon from you? And then you're just like,
I saw that you obviously, you said you work with addicts, you work with, sort of, these aren't run-of-the-mill, they're heavy.
No, it's heavy.
trauma.
If you heard half of the things I hear on the daily, it is heavy. Like I think 90% of our students have been before the age of 4. 90%. I haven't had a story in a while that hasn't been something like that. And that's on a Monday, and then on to the next. Like and that's what makes me so proud, because when it's those people who've been through the worst of the worst show up saying, I got this, I'm going to do it. And then they do it. And then now they're speaking about helping other people and getting other victims out of whatever. You clear your pain and your purpose will come. 100%. And nothing can stop you after that. It's the best.
That is, I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it's that fear, it's that trauma that holds you back from making all sorts of life-changing decisions and moves. And I mean, you're kind of, you don't want to limit a human being, but you can potentially limit them if you had potentially healed.
Yeah. Exactly.
On trauma.
Yeah.
Let's say somebody listening to this, and, obviously has heard everything that you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Where are there sort of common triggers or sort of red flags that person think, I might need to go in and speak to Shayoon, for example?
Yeah.
Is there something that might show up on a daily basis?
Yeah, just check in with yourself. What emotional symptoms are you feeling on the daily? Like we forget that we can ask our body anything and you'll get the response. So your gut is connected to your heart. And most people will say, yo, I suffer from anxiety on the daily, fear, sadness, depression, trouble breathing. Or you look at your physical symptoms. Where are you hurting right now? I have IBS. I have stomach issues. Well, 90% of that means that you probably have childhood trauma. I have a broken heart. I have an autoimmune disease. I have cancer, is usually anger. I have all of this stuff. So you've got to look at and if you're suffering, period, even if it's one thing, even if it's anxiety, that's a problem. You are not designed to be sick.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
You should have zero sickness. It's very possible. And it's also a mindset. Like you're not designed to be sick. The only thing I would really, really say to that is like check in with yourself. Like if you are suffering at any point and you know that you can't do it anymore or you can't do it alone, come in. It's a community. It's just try it. Try it, you know?
I feel like now more than ever, people want that.
Yeah, we do live healings as well once a week for people who can't, come into the whole program. There's so much wisdom in community. I feel like community is the new currency, but when you have the right people and you have the safety, um, and you feel safe and you feel protected, you can heal like that. If you don't, and you're always in an environment that makes you sick or you don't feel safe, it's harder for sure. People have to make a lot of hard decisions, divorce, whatever it is that's holding them back from also whatever is all sorts of things. But to feel safe, I think, is the most important. And we've really curated so many beautiful people from around the world who are there also. We have like a whole LightForce community of healers in there that are just there. If somebody is like having a bad day, you just message somebody and you can get,
Just somebody who's
some
listening to
support.
you.
Yeah. It's super important. That was a really big thing for me when we were building it, is community and the right people. And that's what we need to shift it just a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk a lot about self-acceptance. Yeah, I think you recently spoke about self-acceptance as well.
Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that sort of come as a result of being technically healed? Or is that something that you start off with having to do first?
I think you have to accept where you are always.
Yeah.
But I think that you cannot accept yourself if you don't know who you are. And so you can, look at you. You're absolutely stunning, gorgeous. But maybe there's something I don't know about you. Or maybe when you look in the mirror, you don't feel what I see, right? If you don't feel it.
Which I have to say is the majority of
Yeah.
people.
But if you don't feel it, then there's no point in me feeling it,
It's true.
I've already accepted you.
Yeah.
But we care so much about comparison and toxicity in the beauty industry right now. I mean, it is so cringe, and everyone is getting further and further away from who they truly look like or are because they're being pursued by unhealed people who make you believe that you need to be greater than what you already are, and you should look a certain way and you should act a certain way and you should dress a certain way and you forget who you are because you're always striving to be something or someone else. And I don't really think you can truly accept yourself until you know who you are, and the only way to do that is to heal from why you're even trying to get something out of who you are.
I just feel like that whole area is just a Pandora's box.
Yes, it is completely. And it comes with, self-worth. It comes with growing up in trauma. It comes with, a lot. And it is hard. I've watched girls, with the most horrendous stories. Of course they're going to be shameful. Of course they're going to want to feel like they are something else because they've had the worst things done to them. And I get that. I'm not shaming anybody or anything. I'm just saying that just really be true to who you are and what you want, not because somebody else is doing it. I mean, there's always room for inspiration for sure, but like at the end of the day, only you can make you feel better. No one's coming to save you.
Absolutely.
And
that's it. You're more powerful than you think.
Yeah.
And it's really up to you to kind of almost carry yourself over.
Yeah. And when you accept who you are, you will never accept anything else from anybody else in terms of what they feel, think, or hear about you.
That statement, that could sort of be a blanket statement for toxic, narcissistic relationships.
100%.
It could be, bad working environment, toxic, sort of corporate culture. It could be, you could apply that to
Everything.
Every scenario in your life.
Yeah.
And you can potentially cut it out.
Yeah.
Because you've got that almost, no, I'm not going to stand for that.
No, absolutely not. Your boundaries and your power comes back when you start to really believe in yourself. Like I don't give about anybody's opinion. It's not my business. I just know what I'm doing, why I'm here, and how I'm gonna get there.
And that as well. I find, again, people misunderstand that. Like, oh, you don't care. Oh, she's just,
Yeah. Yeah.
full of it.
Yeah.
But also at the same time,
I don't have time to
it's
care about
it
anything that has
has nothing to do with one another. Absolutely, I'm quite happy in my own self. If you guys are happy with me, great. If not, then
take a walk.
that's it.
It's all good.
It's not about sort of shoving it down people's throats.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
about
you
existing and being
don't have
comfortable.
anything to prove
Yeah.
to anybody. And that's another thing. When you're yourself, like you really just choose, yourself over and over again. I don't even entertain anything that's not high vibrational. It doesn't matter. It is just all matter. Like this doesn't even exist. Like we're 0.1% me and you of people who really want to do something
Absolutely.
in the world. There's 8 billion people, 7.9 billion of them are matter.
That's
you know? So it's like we are like a drop in all of the oceans. Like you really got to look at it from a bigger, zoom out, like
it's not
yeah,
this, just that
really.
that shift in minds that are there to really do something. Which I like it starts at that
Yeah,
point,
absolutely.
when you realize, okay, come on.
Yeah, just send love and move on. Like there's 100%.
It's easier said than done. We're sitting here having this beautiful conversation, but talk to the person who's getting absolutely shafted by their boss or has a horrible relationship at home. I get it.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the reason why conversations like this happen.
Absolutely. You have to have the courage to move beyond it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have the idea that you've got people such as yourself, for example, that is there to get you across that line.
Yeah.
So I think also with that step, don't be scared to take it.
No, like you were saying to me earlier, so many people message me like, you changed my life. And my message always back is, you changed your life.
You took that step.
You changed your life. You are the healer, like take that title and say, I changed my life. I was the one that went in and did it for myself because I'm not doing anything. You have to show up for you.
Yeah.
It's the only way to accept yourself.
That's true. It's true. It's, again, a lot, especially I find a lot of people, again, I find I fall a little bit in that category of like people pleasers.
Yeah.
And sometimes almost I agree to something against my better judgment. Yeah. And I always end up really almost kicking.
Like every time you have to speak your truth, no matter if it is true, if it hurts or not. Like you cannot
go being rude.
Yeah, no.
Just explain.
But it's also, look, I get it. It's culture too. Like you feel bad for saying no because the majority of the people cannot accept no.
Yeah.
Right? With a full heart. If you told me no and we didn't speak for like 6 months, and you called me in 6 months, I would pick up the phone the same way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't, like all the little things, people, this is exactly what it is. Expectation fuels disappointment, and everybody expects something from someone. And it just isn't like that anymore. You have to just be able to say it like it is to be able to fully be in what it is that you're doing.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, no, it's that.
Yeah.
I think it sort of has an effect on everybody.
Rejection fuels commitment. And the more you do that, the more people will know not to even ask you ridiculous things or do ridiculous, like it doesn't, like nobody will.
It's advocating for.
Yeah. And then when those boundaries are straight and you're straight, it won't come, you're not attracting that anymore. People know.
I just think that's a really good thing because you advocate for yourself. Your children see you advocate for yourself.
And then
your
they
husband, your partner, your friends. Yeah. And that you start to potentially just by an osmotic
self-respect.
Yeah, you get the self-respect, but pass it down.
Yeah.
And people just tend to
lead by example. I want to be like her. Like, yeah,
mom really put her foot down.
Yeah.
Or, my wife didn't accept to this. Or,
totally.
I think that's definitely something to be said. You become
it's really amazing.
A change maker in your own right.
Yeah. Start at home.
Yeah. Misconceptions around what you do.
Same thing, it's like I really look, we have a really large wellness industry right now, of which I'm heavily researching for my center. Yeah. And the majority of the problem lies within people think that they can just drink all the green juice and go to the gym. But if you don't take care of your mental gym, it's all of what's the use, right? And so there's a huge misconception on, I think, you know, if you believe it, you'll receive it. If you don't, you don't. I'm never like, you should do this. It's always hey, Shane Alexander, this is our last resort. I've been to Joe Dispenza. I've been to everything else. Nothing's working. That's how everyone starts their sentence with me. I'm like, cool, perfect. You're in the best place. Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work if you don't realize that your thoughts and your emotional and physical body affects your brain and your body. It won't. And so I think there's so many misconceptions. I think I'm heavily misunderstood, but again, I really don't care. I actually just don't care. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to change your heart. And if your heart wants to listen and you want to be a part of that, then it's all arms open in. If not, I wish you so much love.
Yeah. Respect.
Respect.
You
do what you gotta do.
If you are and wanting to.
Yeah, 100%. Do what you do, and let me know how that goes.
No, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's just one of those things that if you aren't going to go into it, like you said, with your heart open,
Yeah.
you're not going to go into it with an open mind.
Yeah.
Then regardless of anything that you do.
And that goes with everything, right? Intention is key with everything. If you intend to bless your water before you drink it and it's from a plastic bottle, you have the ability to change the molecular structure of your water. That is how crazy your intentions are. So if you're doing that constantly with everything, only good can come from it.
I completely And you do have that power.
Yeah.
And put your intentions forward. I say that to kids a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you aren't able to do certain things.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, put the intention out there.
Yeah.
That's it does count for something.
Of course.
That's for me.
Yeah.
Like you said, it is a mental shift.
Absolutely.
I do that often.
Yeah.
I think my mom used to say that to me a lot.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of the times you at least me in my family, we rely on that when you feel you can't really do much.
Yes. Yeah.
You put the intention and then somehow, I don't know whether it's because you've got the intention out there that there's certain steps that become a bit more apparent.
Yeah.
And then you eventually get to where you need to get by just kind of focusing on it.
You're setting a mindset goal in your head, and your head is going to be like, remember.
Yeah.
You can't create conscious solutions from an unconscious state. So when you shift your consciousness to gratitude and intention with everything changes,
The mind, honestly, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I feel underserved, underutilized, and it's just a massive, I don't know, it's just this massive force that we only know, even medically, a fraction of its capability.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's fascinating. And
Yeah.
I find that in itself is enough to almost convert the biggest skeptic.
100%.
If you think about it.
Let's talk about poisoning the mind. Why do they put fluoride in your toothpaste? Why are they putting fluoride in your waters? Why do they want to poison you so that you can't think that far ahead? Because then it's bad for business. The entire world will shut down, literally. And the entire world is shutting down mentally, physically, and emotionally. If you look at the States or anywhere else, like the obesity, the disgustingness of greed and food and homelessness. We should be like the Jetsons flying in the sky, right?
But
why not?
Living the peak.
Yeah. And
with the resources, with to be honest,
it's all a game for a few top people in the world. And we got to unlearn it and do something else about it.
Do you think there is a shift though? There is
huge.
Huge.
There's a massive paradigm shift for the new earth taking place right now. That's why I was like, we really need everybody to come forth right now, because there is a shift and it's so beautiful to witness. I see so many young people, we're the last generation that didn't know what social media was.
It's true.
And so it is so cool to see the young kids and the youth really carrying out, holistic practicing or alternative, which is, I hate that word, but, the original way,
Yeah,
the OGs. Like, that's why it's so important to teach consistently, or even, to help your parents at such an age has been like my biggest honor because, imagine, like you said, like all that traveling and the wars and stuff. Imagine what they actually went through that they haven't uncovered. And if they did, how they could show up so much more and live so much longer. I mean, my dad's 80 and he's done like all the healings, all the, he's sat in a lot
I
of
might do it with my
ceremonies.
mom.
Yeah.
I interviewed her on Mother's Day, and she was talking about the war, and I asked her, I'm like, do you think that you carry trauma?
Yeah.
She's like, 100%.
Yeah. See?
Of course.
Of course. And then sure she has a lot of physical symptoms.
Luckily, no, she's really very aware.
Yeah. Okay, good.
When it comes to that, but that there was a point in her life
Yeah.
where she became very much
So
focused
Yeah.
on
getting better.
Getting better.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's what I love too. I love witnessing
Yeah,
all the
it's
people that you would never think. And then you're like, yes. So we're all that tribe, right?
I could literally keep you in here
I
for the next like 10 hours and ask you 1,001
Whenever you want, I will always be back.
No, but it's
You
amazing.
could do a part 2.
Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But this time, I guess you weren't feeling well today, and I just brought you in here.
I'm here. I'm always going to feel good enough to show up.
I mean, I don't know. I'm thankful, but it's one of these things that I always kind of want whoever is listening to come away with something. Not that I feel like they've come away with a whole bunch. Every time you're speaking, I'm getting these goosebumps.
Yeah.
But if you were to give, let's say, 3 pieces of advice,
Okay,
for somebody thinking about going down the path of healing,
yeah.
what would they be?
Okay, number 1, 3 pieces of advice going down the path of healing. Number 1 is to surrender to the fact that you need help and say yes. Bottom line, it will not work if somebody else is telling you to do it. It's not going to work if, you're half in, half out. You have to be all in. Number 2 is trust that process. You have to trust the process. Otherwise, if you can, you can give up pretty quickly because it is hard. But nothing good comes out of everything being easy. It's a journey, but it's not lifelong. And number 3 is to just do it. Sign up, take the leap, and take your life into your own hands. Like, just do it and don't give up. And don't listen to the people that say the sky is the limit. Like, there's so much more out there than the sky. Like, go up, go out, get into the universe and really rediscover who you truly are, because we're all waiting. We're all waiting to see you shine.
I just cannot think of a more perfect way to end this episode. Shayoon, thank you.
Thank you, babe. Thank you
So much. This was amazing.
Thank you for listening to They Say It Takes a Village. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I look forward to bringing you another one next week. Don't forget, please subscribe, rate, and review so I can reach and help even more parents. And if you've got a topic that you'd like me to cover, please head over to my Instagram page, ittakesavillage.me, and drop me a line.